In 3, 2,
1.
I am way too tired to not laugh at a Palpatine.
That wasn't even an attempt at a Palpatine. My voice
That's
is
what it
just super
sounded like, though.
in your arrogance.
I'm going to need you to do the intro. This is the intro, by the way. I'm going to need you to do the intro as Emperor Palpatine, if you would, please.
Welcome to the Tougies Take Podcast. I am your host, Emperor Palpatine. Alongside me is also Emperor Palpatine. The other Palpatine is not here.
Oh my god. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Tougie Steak Podcast. Can you tell the adult is not in the room? And he won't be as we bid a farewell, a bon voyage to Mr. Sin for the Win, who is
farewell
on his way to the land of the Finns. Sinland. So you're stuck with us two idiots for the next month. Unless we have a guest on, so this is what you can come to expect from the show. And well, if the listening counts, if the view counts die, then well, Sin will have a good strength and renegotiations to stay on this podcast when he comes back, because he might be the real draw. Endo, how are you?
I'm okay. I had a really, really long weekend.
Never drinking.
Never go to a party on an empty stomach. That's one thing.
I don't even drink, and even I know that's a noob move. What are you doing?
Okay, yeah, I had something before I left, but I forgot that like these guys are like frat guys. I mean, like I know they're my hockey team, right? But I forgot like how much they had to drink and everything. So they were doing like vodka, sodas, seltzers all night, and then 3:30 hits around. We're at excuse me. Yeah. We're at Marcus's place. He was the person for the Movember campaign. Thank you guys for people who did support or just looked at it in general. He says to us at like 3:30 in the morning, guys, we have to finish this whole keg by 5:00. And he's like, if we put our hearts together and we play enough Flip Cup, we can get this all done together.
Christ.
Tougie, I don't remember getting home on Saturday night. I'll be very honest with you. I do not remember getting home. And I know Sin will probably hear this while he's in Finland. And he'll be like, I know, you fucking idiot. This is why you don't drink. Yeah, I know. This is definitely why you don't drink. But it was good.
So
it was good to get together.
Magically, you go from remembering this speech, and the next thing is you're home texting me, oh, so CM Punk, huh? Like that was your Saturday.
That was my Saturday. Yeah, so CM Punk, huh?
God, we joked about it a few minutes ago before recording that. Yeah, we're just going to turn this into a wrestling podcast for the next month. Might not be a bad way to go about things, maybe.
Yeah.
But that was a fun Saturday for you, huh?
Yeah, it was. I think the best part about it was the only thing I remember is being with the guys, getting into the Uber. I remember waking up in the Uber, and then I remember waking up trying to put my PIN code inside my door. And then I remember waking up on the couch. Everything else between that is a fucking blur. So that's a moral responsibility. Be smart if you drink. Because I thought, these guys are pretty well off. I thought there was going to be food there. No, all the budget went towards drinks. You know what they had? They had chips. So they had chips. They didn't have any plates. So me and my smart ass, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna eat some chips. So I have a chip cup, like a red Solo cup just for chips, cut up and everything. So it's just for chips. I'm eating it through. And then Whitey comes over, and is like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm eating chips. Like, no, you got some more drinks in you. I'm like, you're a crazy man. Oh, you're a crazy man, Whitey. Fucking hell.
And now you And now you don't remember your day.
Yeah. Is it endurance or is it endurance? I can't even remember anymore.
What happens when you get so drunk you don't remember your name? Find out on the Tougie Steak podcast. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I did not. I did not get college wasted this weekend.
Yeah. It was bad because I didn't know any college frat games like Flip Cup and like I know beer pong. Beer pong is pretty obvious. And they're asking me like, where'd you go to school? These guys all went to like UMich, Ivy League schools, and that big party schools as well. I'm like, oh, I went to Seneca. They're like, I'm so sorry for you, brother. I'm like, thanks.
So not only did they not have food or plates, but they also big leagued you.
Yeah.
Great friends.
And it's funny too, cause like the four of them, there's four of them who are all brothers, and they're all on the hockey team. And they're like, yo, when you got that shutout on Thursday, that was like when we knew you were part of the team. I'm like, thanks. And now my initiation is gonna be blackout drunk, like for 6 hours of consistent drinking. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you.
God,
good friends.
Yeah,
Brett Favre.
You had a great wedding, Brett Favre. Yeah, I stayed home. We set up Christmas stuff. It's real nice and cute in the house. And then I tried to avoid internet wrestling discourse like my life depended on it. You know the question we get like once a year of like, if there was a slug that was chasing you and if it touches you, you die, what would you do? I was treating internet wrestling discourse like the slug, where I'm just like, nope, not doing it. Run away as fast.
Not today. Not gonna happen.
Oh, God. If you love arguing and being like, and having that toxic tribalism, there is nothing better for you than professional wressling fandom.
Oh my God.
Because the opportunity to just sling shit back and forth is always relevant. The opportunity to say this person sucks. Oh wait, he's on our team now. He's the GOAT. Like it's perfect. Like it's all the toxicity that you can get in soccer, football, whatever other sport, and cranked up to like 11. Shout out to professional wrestling fandom toxicity because damn.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get to a different type of fandom toxicity here in a minute, though. Hockey-wise, and this is in fact a hockey podcast, not a dude bro getting drunk professional wrestling podcast. Although there's, maybe we'll see. We'll see if we get there. This podcast, though, is of course brought to you by our lovely friends at Manscaped.com. Want to remind you, code Tougie, Tougie, for 20% off your order and free shipping. It's the season of giving. So give the person in your life some great grooming materials because, hey, shit's important. There you go.
There's our yourself. Deck the balls with
God.
La 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 la.
God. Yeah, boy. Anyway, I wanted to get to a viewer question here to kick things off, to kind of get us into the hockey mood, the hockey spirit. And that question is, in honor of the Michigan/Ohio State college football game that was this weekend, which Endo definitely wouldn't remember even if he watched it, what rivalry in the NHL is the best in your opinion? Now, for me, you could think back to like historical rivalries and be like Boston, Montreal. It's like, it's not a rivalry at this point. It hasn't been in a while. I think about like, all right, what two teams, what is a rivalry? If I think of the Bruins, their biggest rival right now is the Florida Panthers, man. Like that is their rivalry, is the Florida Panthers at this stage. They played them this past week and won. The playoff loss happened. There was the signs from the Florida dude bros that got some people riled up that I thought happened to be funny. That is one of them. And honestly, looking at it, like, I don't know. Like, I'd be intrigued to know from fans of like the LA Kings. Who is your biggest rival right now? Because I don't know. Like Devils and Rangers is probably up there after the playoffs. The Leafs. Who's your top rival? Probably Ottawa, because the two team
media
fan bases can't stop throwing shit at one another on Twitter.
Yeah, it's just the media. That's honestly what it is. Like, the fact that certain talking points that we've had on the show about the Leafs have always been like, oh, they're 500, they're a 500 team. And yet we're complaining about all these things that like smaller teams aren't even dealing with. And it's just the media and like the
funny thing is, I think that's the answer for Edmonton too. It's like, who's Connor McDavid's biggest rival? We know who Leon Draisaitl's is.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the guy that constantly asks him dumb questions. So, yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good answer for a couple of Canadian teams, really. And some teams, their biggest rival might be one of their own players. Like, who's the Canucks' biggest rival, and why is it Tyler Myers? Who, despite the Canucks being a really good team this year, people still shit on Tyler Myers all the time.
Yeah, someone's got to be a scapegoat, right? So,
yeah. Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned scapegoats. Endo, you were just teeing me up for these transitions over the past show. I appreciate it.
I had no fucking clue what the fuck's coming out my mouth. So
You're
I'm
doing
just
great.
Flying on all cylinders. I'm doing good. Yeah, my mom will be proud of me.
BK asked a joke question. Initially said, "So this thing," and then said, "JK, what's your favorite place to travel?" But his initial question and your transition gets us to this topic early. Connor Bedard. Now, it's not necessarily because of anything related to Connor Bedard, or perhaps it is, actually. Interesting choice of words. The biggest topic in hockey right now is not Jacob Trouba, who we'll talk about in a few minutes. It's not Marc-Andre Fleury anymore. We'll talk about him later. It's not Connor McDavid potentially being back and the Oilers being on point. The biggest talking point in hockey right now is Corey Perry. And it's because of the absence in Chicago's lineup that Corey Perry is the biggest talking point in hockey. Because wouldn't you know it, Endo? The Chicago hockey team hasn't learned a fucking thing about even a slight amount of transparency. Nick Foligno was quoted in an interview on Corey Perry saying, quote, "We just know he's not with us. We haven't gotten any details. It's unfortunate. He's a big part of this team. We'll miss him." The Hawks, including GM Mr. Davidson, refused to clarify or elaborate what has gone on with this. Davidson was asked if Corey Perry's absence was related to a potential trade. And he said, quote, "To start ruling anything out, I think is irresponsible. So I'm just not going to comment on any possible outcome." That was like an okay. Like it's okay. Kind of weird, but okay. And then Corey Perry's agent, or the agency representing him, comes out and does the line of, "We're asking for privacy at this time," which really kind of contradicts the whole deal. The quote was, "to attend to a personal matter," from Perry's agent, Pat Morris. So you have Kyle Davidson saying, well, we're not going to rule anything out for what this could be because we don't want to give people hints, but it's a team decision. It's an organizational decision. Yet, The agent is saying it's a personal matter. Also over the weekend, you had Samuel Girard, where it was announced that he was going into the player assistance program. And at that point, it's like, cool. You do you, buddy. You take care of you. But he released a statement through his agency, further clarifying, talking about his history of depression and anxiety and how leaving that untreated led to him down the road of alcohol abuse. Information he didn't need to give. But I give him all the props in the world for just saying this is what it was, because it's not easy to make statements like that, certainly. So we wish him all the best. You have someone like Sam Girard who doesn't need to do anything and is putting that out there. And then you have Chicago, where literally the smallest bit of clarity would help you avoid this whole shitstorm of what's going on with Corey Perry. Literally all you had to say was, it's a personal matter. The agent says it's a personal matter. And then bam, people are like, cool, it's personal. Most people, obviously there'll be some crazies on the internet who don't, but most people will be like, it's a personal thing. It's none of our fucking business. Let's just move on. But because you had the mixed messaging between the GM and the agent, now it has opened up Pandora's box. And that has led to the prevailing rumor of Corey Perry is off the team because he slept with Connor Bedard's mom. Because it always fucking goes to that in hockey. It's always Tyler Seguin got traded from the Bruins because he slept with this guy's wife. And that's always the thing it comes back to in hockey. There's a problem with the player, he slept with somebody. And maybe it's true, God. Maybe it isn't. But the point is, what the fuck is wrong with you, Chicago? This is your fault. And if there is zero truth to this, which is likely, you're just causing a headache for your franchise player and a veteran who could be going through some personal shit. Maybe he had a death in the family, and now his name is trending on Twitter saying, he slept with Bedard's mom. Because you can't get your shit together in terms of basic clarity after the Kyle Beach shit. Fuck. Like, the humor in it's funny, Endo, but at the same time, if it was any other team, it would be more humorous. Of course, it's fucking Chicago.
I feel like Bedard's mom was feeling a little sweet on Christian Cage, if you know what I mean.
Connor Bedard's dad isn't dead. He has been photographed at his games alongside his I believe they're still married, alongside his wife. They've been at his games. Fuck.
I'm sorry. The first thing I saw on Twitter was a picture of Christian and I think it was someone else. It was just like this Corey Perry, the Bedard. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, this is hilarious. That rumor, or that speculation is totally rumor. Just a tweet from Jay Fresh. Please tell me this Blackhawks rumor did not originate from an account called Hockey Insider with 2 R's.
Smart insider man.
Yeah.
Dropping the hottest knowledge. Charlie, and I'm so sorry. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name, Charlie, because I'm going to botch it. I just botched your first name, so I'm definitely going to botch the last name.
Charlie Roumeliotis.
Yeah, that guy who covers the Hawks for NBC Sports Chicago, is a member of the PHWA, the Pro Hockey Writers Association. He put out the Corey Perry rumor that is going around as 100% false. Carry on. Like, it's gained enough traction that you have reporters having to be like, guys, this isn't fucking true. And all of this is because the Hawks just couldn't get their shit together, talk to the agent and say, look, here's what's going on, but here's what the messaging's going to be. And that way, whether or not it is a personal thing or a misconduct on Perry's part, whatever, it cuts out the speculation of at least that at least it's just I can't get away from the fact, like, of course it's fucking Chicago. I'd like to think no other team would have been this careless in their presenting of, yes, there's something going on with Corey Perry. It's a team decision, only to have the agent like 2 hours later be like, it's a personal issue. So, fuck. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. And then to that reply for the tweet that you're talking about, I put the DW thing from Arthur. That sign can't stop me because I can't read.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm still gonna go. It may not be true, but it's still funny to consider. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to be a leader for and be an influence, and then you're out fucking his mom. And like I said, it always goes back to dick stuff. I don't know what it is with hockey players. I honestly don't know what it is, but it's always your mother, your sister, your wife. It's either one of those three things, consistently without fail.
So literally, you can Google NHL sleeping with wife, and it brings up an article from The Sportster. Top 12 NHL players who allegedly slept with a teammate's wife. I can't even speak today. I'm overtired, and I'm tired of this bullshit is what I am.
Oh, it's so good.
Top 12 NHL players who allegedly slept with with a teammate's wife. And it's...
Do you have that list? I gotta read this.
I do have... Here, let's go over them. Fuck it. Let's engage in the nonsense. Why not?
It's content.
Yeah, it's content. Thanks, Chicago, for giving us top-tier content, you fucking clods. Number 12, Chris Chelios and Ronald Corey when they were in Montreal. While he played for the Habs, Chelios played for the Habs, Ronald Corey was the president of the team starting in 1986. While Chelios' controversial trade in 1990 was attributed to the fact that he was accused of fighting two police officers, there were also rumors flying that he had an affair with Corey's wife.
Okay,
police officers, that's not enough to get traded. You dick down the president's wife.
Okay, what did you look up to get this article? Because I put NHL player fucks wife, and I'm on fucking Pornhub right now. So
NHL sleeping with wife was what I typed, and the correct is hockey cheating scandals.
Oh, cheating on their wives. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay,
Jesus
there we go.
Right.
Yeah. Accidentally opened up a porno. Just okay.
Number 11. Jeff Brown and Kirk McLean when they were in Vancouver. Slept with his wife, alleged. Danny Heatley and Jason Spezza.
He's a fucking all-star.
It's just fuck. Like every time. Rumor has it, Heatley was in an unhappy place at the time as he was not only having problems with their head coach, but allegedly sleeping with Jason Spezza's wife.
And then he fucks her wife.
Like every time it's so literally it was like Jason Spezza got married. Danny Heatley no-showed the wedding. Heatley wasn't happy on the Ducks. He must have been sleeping with Spezza's wife. Like every time, that's what people go to. I don't know why. This has been a thing since the fucking 80s where people just immediately go to sleeping with someone's wife. Dion Phaneuf, he was sleeping with Craig Conroy's wife. Tyler Sagan, he slept with Nathan Horton's wife. Ryan Kessler, Sergei Fedorov. I
remember the Kessler one though. I remember that one. That was funny.
It's a who's who of this deal. It is.
Brendan Shanahan.
Yeah, Shanahan's the one where it's there's probably some viability to that because Craig Janney was his teammate, and it looked like the alleged affair, like the Janneys got divorced, and then Brendan Shanahan married Craig Janney's ex-wife.
Oh,
so the drama.
He was hitting it for a while. This is the most like dude bro thing we've ever had. Me talking about fucking getting like blackout drunk, talking about like people's wives getting fucked by other people,
apparently
the cuckoldry happening in the NHL. Like this is like the most dude bro episode ever, and I don't know how to feel about it.
And it's all because Chicago sucks at media. They are the worst team in the NHL when it comes to the media game. Easily. This was a layup. This was Shaquille O'Neal on a fucking kid-sized basketball hoop. You don't need to jump. You don't need to reach. You just put the ball in. There you go. Just Corey Perry. Personal issue. We will not be addressing it. Bam. And you fucking idiots. You fucking idiots. And now it leads to, again, Corey Perry trending on Twitter because, did he do it? God damn it. Just God damn it. This is the NHL. And that's the thing. This usurped the Department of Player Safety dropping the ball again. This usurped the best player in the world heating up. And this usurped Marc-Andre Fleury being the biggest story in hockey.
Yep.
Because we talked about it on the last show that Flower was told, no, you're not wearing this mask. And then in the time that we had finished the show, the word came out, no, he did. And he was going to, and he did. He wore the mask during warm-ups that was still auctioned off for charity. And surprise, surprise, nothing's happened.
That's the biggest nothing burger of a rule the NHL's ever implemented. That is, it's so stupid. We can sit here and talk about how stupid the rule is and everything, but it's not really going to change anything. I think I said last week that players should be able to freely speak and be able to, represent their causes and everything to their mind. And I feel like there should also be blowback for it. If you want to support a cause, it's people think it's a bad cause, you should have the right to be chastised for it or praised for it. Freedom of speech. And I know a lot of people are talking about that, and I think it's something that should be allowed. Like, for example, one thing that's been discussed is Robin Lehner had a picture of Donald Trump on one of his old helmets, like way before he was even president or even running for presidency.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, he should be allowed to put that on his helmet. And then they're like, well, what about Thomas Greiss with the SS on his helmet? I'm like, that's a little bit extreme. That's a little extreme. But then you also end up having a conversation where it's like, where do you draw the line between freedom of speech and hate speech? And it's once you start having relatively offensive imagery that has historical meaning behind it, I feel like a Trump thing gets a pass. But putting actual imagery or references to certain things that, are kind of in a bad historical setting, you get there. It's kind of like, yeah, that's where I kind of draw it a little bit.
The bottom line is, as I mentioned on the last show, all of this, the conversation around warm-up stuff, it wasn't an issue until it was about being inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it became an issue for people. Robin Lehner putting Donald Trump on his mask. I sleep. Thomas Greiss having his last name on his mask with an SS symbol. Like, it's out there.
Yeah.
We know this. This happened. The only punishment he faced was that the German Hockey Federation said, go kick rocks, you fucking buffoon.
And another thing about that too, when Thomas Greiss retired, I think it was the NHLPA was like, hey, congratulations on having a long career. And we're like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck this guy in particular, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't tell me that a German player isn't going to be that much more aware of what that looks like, even if it's somehow an honest mistake. So,
yeah.
Yeah, the bottom line is this did not become a problem until it was more about being inclusive and until the politicizing of pride and trans rights, until that became more of a hot button issue over the past year and a half, more so than it already was. Again, that's where the problem started up, because Eric Stahl didn't have a problem wearing a Pride warm-up jersey until the past year. And what happened? Things became more political. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I think the one thing that people are upset about is a lot of people feel like this kind of stuff is being forced to people. But I think it's not even that it's being forced. It's that for some time, people have been looking to be, inclusive and everything. And I feel like over the past 5-10 years, especially with the pandemic, that's sped up a whole ton. It's crazy to think that the civil rights movement happened in my grandmother's lifetime, and she's 89.
Yeah.
Like, she migrated to Canada not really having the same rights as other people.
Right.
I mean, Canada was a little bit better than, say, the US, but there were still also some issues there as well.
We know. We've learned a lot about residential schools and other issues that have plagued Canada in its history that they're pretty thankful for, that their neighbors to the north kind of took the lead on some of those topics and distracted a little bit.
It's crazy because speaking of residential schools, Polina had to explain that to her parents.
Oof.
Because they didn't understand the concept of that, because Russia's a little bit different. They have their own stuff over there too, but she's like, so wait, they just kind of, it's like, yeah, they did all that and got rid of everything, and they tried to literally, it was a genocide. It was a genocide, flat out. And yeah. Anyways, back on the hockey, because that's what we're really trying to talk about here.
Well, I mean, the thing is though, right? Like, you're right in that it's all like all of this. When people say like, "Oh, keep politics out of sports," like, you literally can't, because politics are a human
national
issue.
Anthem.
Sports are a human issue.
Yep.
And again, the problem is, you mentioned the national anthem. Again, the idea of, you can't get rid of it, that'd be un-American, that'd be unpatriotic. It's like everything has become this political discussion. So obviously it's going to bleed over to the sports world, and it has, and we are continuing to see the effects of it, whether it's Travis Dermott going against the grain, using the pride tape and not facing any punishment because he has balls and the NHL doesn't, and now Marc-Andre Fleury with the mask. And there was an episode of the 32 Thoughts podcast that dropped today with Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick. And in regards to Fleury and the NHL's specialty policy, this comes from Phil Coker on Twitter, at Phil Coker. Quote, "What the NHL is worried about is not things like Fleury's mask. It's that one day someone's going to want to do something, or someone's going to want to put something that is going to be incredibly divisive on the mask. A flag, a symbol, something like that." Friedman then speculated, "The more I wonder if the issue isn't what we've seen, but they're worried about what we could see." And again, like you said, well, here's this history. You slept through these other things that could be viewed as politically divisive and as causing a scene and shifting focus away. Yet these things weren't viewed as issues. And it's because things have changed. And it's because, like you said, there's been so much change recently on so many different topics that there's been an immense pushback to it, which has made it political. It's this idea that you mentioned COVID. That was the big thing where people are like, we're fucking sick and tired of not being treated like human beings, whether or not it's a part of the LGBTQ community, whether or not it's being fucking black in the United States. And then you have people that liked the status quo the way that it was and pushed back. Hence, here we are in this overly political time that we are in. And it's greatly affected the NHL. All of this, the jerseys, the masks, whatever. Again, Eric Stahl wore a Pride jersey in Montreal, but it's because of how things have changed over the last couple of years. And Eric Stahl was in Montreal 2 years ago. But it's how things have changed so quickly and how politicized things have gotten that all of a sudden now, we got to go through this whole fucking deal because Marc-Andre Fleury wants to wear a mask in warm-up.
Yeah. Speaking of masks and the Minnesota Wild, Dean
Ooh.
Evison and Bob Woods have been relieved of their coaching duties. This is from the Minnesota Wild themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Head coach and assistant coach both gone. Damn.
Some breaking news there. Good catch. Yeah, Minnesota firing Dean Evison as the head coach of their team. He had been the head coach of this team for the past 3 years. At least as full-time head coach. He had been an assistant with the Wild in the 2018 season up through 2020. In February of 2020, he became the interim head coach and then was named outright head coach in the summer of 2020. And yeah, Dean Evison has been sacked by the Minnesota Wild, which isn't necessarily surprising. We kind of talked about a team like the Wild struggling, and struggling indeed. They are currently the third worst team in the league by points. Points percentage, they are the fourth worst, with just Columbus, Chicago, and San Jose doing worse than them this season. So I got to be honest, this isn't particularly a surprise to see him get fired. But it is kind of nice to see Minnesota say, you know, let's try to make a change here because we have a better roster than this. It's kind of the same spot that Columbus is in, where it's like, let's make a change because we have a better roster than this. But Pascal Vincent has been their head coach for 2 months and 10 days as of today in the aftermath of the whole Babcock debacle. So Minnesota making what should be a positive change to getting that team back on track. But we talked about it, right? Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving as that kind of date. Too little, too late. It might be for this year with their $15 million fucking dead cap. I still can't believe they're paying that much on Suter and Parise. It's insanity.
Yeah, they didn't get the matching contracts when they first signed, right? But that was when they were with. Yeah, they signed it with them because they both moved from their previous teams to go play over there. That's crazy. That's a lot of money.
It's too much.
Like, it's a lot of money.
We mentioned the Oilers a little bit earlier on, a couple of different times. Shout out to Connor McDavid, who's not, his spirit hasn't been completely killed. And I give him credit for that. He has 9 points in his last 2 games, jumping from 29th in league scoring up to 13. Obviously a gigantic positive for Edmonton to get McDavid going, but the problem is we have seen what happens if Connor McDavid is not playing at a superhuman level. The debate over, was he still hurt when he came back? Yes, he had to have been. This whole idea of, well, Connor McDavid's playing great again, no change is necessary. They have to make some adjustments here. They simply do. Otherwise, good luck. I mean, again, you know, we've talked about the bottom 6 and the lack of scoring from there. We've talked about the goaltending, which is still abysmal. I mean, Jack Campbell's been down in the AHL, and he hasn't done particularly well there either, with Bakersfield 5 games and an .884 save percentage. So I hope for Oilers fans that Ken Holland does something, because this shows you, if anything, I'd be more pissed now that I think about it. If I'm an Oilers fan and Connor McDavid has 9 points in 2 games, would you not be more pissed at your current situation to say, there's your proof, as if we didn't know, we know how good this guy is, the best player in the world, and we are 4th from the bottom, 5th from the bottom in the league right now? I'd be furious to say you still haven't made a change. You still haven't made a trade. There are a couple of teams out there with goalies where you could say, let's try to work something out.
Right.
Something. Anything. Do something. Ken Holland. But they won't. And we've talked about that. I mean, the fact that Ken Holland is still in a job right now is insane to me. But that's Oilers management and leadership and what they do. But
You know, the best part about their situation is that they have $100K in cap space. They have less cap space than the Leafs do. They are in bigger cap hell than the Leafs are. That is impressive. That is very impressive. They can't even go and sign a guy like, let's say, Casimir or Kaskisuo, who's still looking for a fucking team to play for. God bless that man's soul. You can't even sign him for like a league min deal because that's $750K. Someone's gonna have to get sent down, and whoever they're gonna send down is gonna go dropped off on waivers, and they're probably gonna get claimed. Like there's not much you can do in that situation. They've dug themselves a pretty fucking big hole.
You have to get somebody to take Jack Campbell, and to do that, given that his contract has 3 years left. At $5 million, and he has a 10-team no-trade list. That really shrinks down just how many potential moves you can make. Knowing that you're going to have to give up prospects, whoever you have left, because you don't have too many in the system, you do still have your next 3 first-round picks, which is insane to me, because a team in their position should not be holding on to first-round picks. Those are the ones you use to push you over the edge.
Again, yeah. 2 generational. I hate saying the word generational, but 2 of arguably the best players that their organization has probably had, at least in the modern era. You should be using those picks to get more players in and do stuff like that. I think the one thing that burned them was the Evander Kane contract.
Yeah.
Them getting Evander Kane
this year.
Yeah.
But
it's just a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
He's not a bad player, but like him coming off of, playing in San Jose, then getting his contract like voided and then all that fun stuff and being able to find an NHL team like not even like a month later.
Like I'm looking through goalies in the league right now, right, that Edmonton could approach. Do you call Anaheim about John Gibson? He's got 3 years left after this at 6.4, so he's making more than Campbell, but has less term. Is that a landing spot? Are the Ducks committed to John Gibson long term, or, could that work out? I've seen a lot of people say, what about the Bruins, Jeremy Swayman? And again, I said it on Twitter, and some people don't know how to read, so they don't know what the hell I was trying to say, or what I did say. Again, they don't know how to read. The Bruins are not going to trade Allmark or Swayman. The only way, that is their greatest strength right now, aside from their coaching structure, is having 2 of the best goalies in the world on the same team, being able to utilize both. Making a combined under $8.5 million, just under, for those 2. Florida's paying Sergei Bobrovsky 10.
Yep.
Like, that is their greatest strength. And you could say, okay, we're gonna risk our strength to improve a weakness, which would be like a high-end forward. So who? Like on Edmonton, it's not going to be Evander Kane.
Yeah.
Like literally a trade for Swayman. It has to include Swayman and other pieces from the Bruins and one of the big 2 from the Oilers. Because that is the only way you would leverage such a strength if you're the Bruins, is to get somebody who can make a bigger impact at forward than Swayman can in goal. And that's not Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. That's not Evander Kane. That's one of the big 2. And that trade makes no fucking sense for Edmonton unless you're going to blow it up. So I don't see how there would possibly be that deal there. And then from there, it's like, do you go and call like Chicago about Peter Kochetkov, who's unproven for the most part? Like he's had some bright moments at the NHL level, but not a ton. Do you call Columbus about Elvis Merzlikins, who's on a pretty rough contract like Campbell, to see if a swap works out? Like, you don't have too many options to really kind of work with. James Reimer on Detroit, like, you don't have too much to work with. They're not in a position of strength in terms of the negotiations for this. And even then, well, they still haven't done anything. There hasn't even been the panic move. Get Jonathan Quick. Do something. For the love of God, stop wasting Connor McDavid. That has been the running theme throughout the entire history of this show, no matter who has been a co-host on it, is can we please stop wasting Connor McDavid? And they haven't. They're still doing it. And it's frustrating.
I don't know how much more you can take if you're Connor McDavid. You're in essentially the prime of your career. You, again, 9 points in 5 periods, not even 6 periods, 5 periods. Something like that. It was 8 points in 5 periods. That is insane.
So,
and he's literally being wasted. This is like the New York Rangers not winning a cup with King Hendrick.
To go back to Minnesota, we have word now of who the head coach will be for the Wild. And would you believe it? It's a former NHL head coach.
Oh, no.
John Hynes has been named the new head coach of the Minnesota Wild. This after previously being the head coach of the New Jersey Devils and the Nashville Predators. Third time's the charm, John. At least I hope so. But yeah, John Hynes is the man that has been named as the guy who will turn things around for the Minnesota Wild. I don't know how much confidence I'd have. You remember what I said a few minutes ago about Minnesota? Like, hey, yeah, at least they're trying something. I just put up a GIF on Twitter of fucking Steve McNair throwing a lateral pass because that's exactly what the fuck this was. This is as lateral of a move as I think you could possibly make from an NHL coaching perspective. Like, John Hynes, I'm sure he's a good dude, but like his record in his NHL career, he's got a win percentage of .524. 600 games as a head coach, 284 wins. It just I don't see how that's the play. Dean Evason, holy shit. So Dean Evason in his coaching career, let's compare the two. John Hynes, career point percentage of .524 in 600 games.
Gotcha.
Now, Evason only has 251 games as Wild head coach. His point percentage, .639.
Why would you get rid of him?
They have 5 wins in their first 19 games this year.
Okay, that's why you get rid of him.
That's why you get rid of him. It's clear something had to happen. A change needed to be made. But to go to a guy who had been so good for you, or to get rid of a guy who had been so good for you prior to this year in favor of a dude who is barely over 500 in his career as a head coach. That's a move. That's a move. We'll see if it works out. But on paper, I don't know how much confidence that instills in Wild fans right now. I'd love to hear, because I don't think it's going to be a move that's met with too much praise.
Yeah.
Our final thing to discuss on this show, and I want Endo's thoughts first, because God forbid I get called a biased Bruins fan again by biased Rangers fans. Jacob Trouba. Jacob Trouba has been fined $5,000, the maximum allowable under the CBA, for high-sticking Boston's Trent Frederick.
Right.
High-sticking is certainly a way to describe that infraction.
That is fucking baseball swing.
Yep. Yeah, it was. But Trouba, he was just trying to get his stick free. He's not dirty. He's not. How dare you? He's not. Bruins lose. Hold the L. Cope and seethe. As if the Bruins aren't going to lose games. It's the regular season. Cope and seethe, though. Endo. You biased Leaf Bruin Ranger hater. The fact this was only a 5K suspend or a 5K fine is fucking absurd.
Yeah, like the fact that he has a history too of being, a little more egregious with his hits and conduct on the ice. The fact that it was a 5K fine, something's going on there. Something like they were doing so well. George Perot or Perot, whatever the fuck your last name is, buddy. Hopefully you don't have to hear it for much longer because you're not doing a good job. You're not protecting anybody.
Remember a month ago when they had actually like gotten 2 decent ones in a row?
Yeah.
And people were like, oh shit, maybe. That's dead. That's dead in the water.
Honeymoon's over.
Meanwhile, Ryan Hartman is going to have a hearing today, and probably already has, we don't know the outcome, for slew-footing Alex DeBrincat. So a slew foot, which is a dirty play, hearing worthy. Slashing somebody in the head, 5K fine. It's a choice. It's a choice. And here's the thing. Even if the conversation is, he didn't mean to do it, even if it is that, you still did it.
Exactly.
You still did it. Given that Trouba's quote about this was, it can't happen, gotta control my stick better, take the fine and move on. Given the fact that the player's like, yeah, I can't do that. How much of a deterrent is a 5K fine? Really? It's not. Especially when he makes $100,000 a game.
Yeah.
Michael Rasmussen last season got a 2-game suspension for a play where he finished a check, and then as he was finishing the check against David Krejci along the boards and went to turn, his stick hit Krejci in the head. And I'd love to see somebody look at these 2 plays and say what Rasmussen did was worse than what Trouba did. But it is what it is. Like, at this point, there are those type of Rangers fans out there who are going to be way too entrenched in their defense of Trouba because people make defending players a personality. Bruins fans have done it with Brad Marchand. It's not a Rangers fan exclusive thing. It's just what dumb people do. Remember when we talked about the tribalism earlier in professional wrestling? It exists in hockey. Maybe not to the same extent, but this is an example of where it does. Trouba at this point is a player that walks the line. There are some times where he has clean hits that are called dirty incorrectly. And there are times where he has dirty hits that are called clean incorrectly. The bottom line is the fact this was only a 5K fine is insane. But it's the NHL, which it's just, I'm not surprised, but I am tired. I am tired of talking about how fucking dumb the Chicago Blackhawks are. I am tired about talking about how dumb the Department of Player Safety is, or how bad the standard of officiating is, or the fact that we don't have proper goal line technology and we have to bring up the parallax angle like it's 2004. Sorry, Flames fans, for bringing it up twice in a week. It's just every year. I'm sick and tired of talking about how toxic Canadian media is towards the Oilers and towards the Leafs. It's just, I'm sick and tired of talking about how the NHL is so backwards with their fucking standards and the fucking practice stuff. It's just the same shit over and over again. And we joke about the DOPS and spinning the wheel to see what the fine's going to be. Every week, as a fan of the NHL, is spinning the wheel to be like, what same controversy is going to come up? Today, spin the wheel. It's one coach going from one team to another because God forbid we give a new coach a chance. How many times have we mentioned that? over the past couple
Too
of years.
many.
Like, just
Fucking too many, man.
it's the same shit. It's the NHL is the Big Bang Theory of sports leagues. It is just the same shit with the same bad jokes over the same bad laughing track. If you like the show, hey, like what you like. It's fine. Just fuck, man. I just want to enjoy hockey. Give us one fun week where it's like, did you see that sick thing? What about that sick play? And oh, what a sick trade for both teams. That's cool. We can't have it though. Because it just doesn't exist.
It's a myth.
So, Endo, as we bring this show to a close, do you have anything to add? Anything to plug? Anything to promote? A hammer in which to swing into my head like Jacob Trouba swings his hockey stick?
No, I don't, sadly.
Damn.
I don't even got anything to promote. I mean, there's like 3 more days from November if you want to donate again to the campaign. We already
Link
had
will
the
still be
party
there.
and all that. Yeah, you know, still support. It goes to a good cause. And yeah, I'm probably gonna go take a nap because I got hockey at 9 o'clock. Actually brainstorming some NHL content because, quote, hey, you should do a thing. Why the fuck aren't you doing it yet? I'm like, because I'm an idiot.
Who said that?
Some fucking some like liberal fuckwad who lives in Maine. I don't know.
Did anybody?
My good buddy.
Did anybody respond to that? Just being like, it was Tougie, wasn't it?
No. I think only person who actually said anything was what the fuck is it?
An Endo PTO.
Yeah, Endo PTO.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I had talked to Sin about that, and I'm just like, how don't you go on Twitch? You're literally, your life is being a rent-a-goalie.
Yeah.
How, given the feature now where you can drop into club games and be someone's rent-a-goalie, how don't you do that on stream?
I might do that. Honestly.
You need to. The content options, especially if you hop into parties with these fucking people or get messages after the games. The content options, sir, are out of control. And it fits you to a T. Like, I could do that, but it's funny because you're actually a rent-a-goalie, and now you can bring the virtual harassment or the real-life harassment that you get into the virtual world.
Man. I mean, like, in the virtual one, I'll get called a slur, but in the actual one, they won't because they know, like, you're less likely, unless you go to like a clan rally, they get called a slur to your face than you are online.
Yeah, I believe you.
I would say you don't have no experience.
Based off of things I've heard from you or friends of the channel like Rahil, Saphir, of course, with the Hockey News podcast that's out there, the NHL podcast. Based on some of the things I've heard from you guys, the internet's a fun place, huh?
Yeah, it's fun, but yeah, so I might do stuff like that coming up down the pipeline. Not sure if I should stream it and then upload it to YouTube or just do it all offline.
I would stream it and then clip it into highlights.
Yeah. So the way I have my stuff set up now is I have 2 separate like scenes while I'm streaming. So one of them has the gameplay without my face and no overlay, and one of them has with my face and overlay. And I just record it simultaneously, so that way if I want to clip and let's say my fucking dumbass head's in the way, like I can just use the other feed instead.
Right.
I should probably help you set that up because it's
yeah you should. I've been meaning to do that for 2 years and I still haven't.
Yeah, they made it really, really easy. It's a program for anyone else who's a streamer who happens to listen to this. It's called Vertical. It's by Atom. AITUM. It's a free add-on you can get. It's meant for vertical streaming on like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all that. But when you go to your settings, all you have to do is change the aspect ratio from 1080 by 1920, flip it over to 1920 by 1080, and it'll use the same encoder that you have over there. You can also set it up so that way it uses the exact same audio recording settings. If you have, for example, I have a VOD track that goes to my second channel for audio, I can set up so it connects into that, and it just goes flawlessly from there.
There's a lot of things as a streamer where it's like, I should do this, but the problem is for me, once I get stuff working, I'm like, I don't want to fuck with it and break it. So I just leave things as they are.
The best part about this is you can have it set up so that way when you switch a scene in OBS, like when you're streaming over there, it'll switch it automatically to basically something that's a link to that same scene. So you know how we always play pro clubs and everything?
Yeah.
You can have it that way, so that way it just automatically switches over and shows the full screen for pro clubs. And then when we go to do the actual GeoGuessr or whatever, it switches that automatically for you as well. Yeah.
One of these days I'll get into multi-streaming as well. This is a lot of stuff that I should do that I don't, but it's fine. We have fun. You
gotta dedicate like a whole day just to like sit down and do that.
Sounds.
But you're a busy guy, you know.
Miserable.
Guy. Yeah.
Sounds miserable to do that, but someday.
Worth it. Trust me.
And with that, we'll bring things to a close. I'm still on the YouTubes, the Twitch, all the fun stuff. There might be some changes coming up in the new year as well. We're throwing around some ideas of how we might change some things up in the future.
Hey, I have an idea. Bring back a set plan.
Oh, fuck no. I don't want to play HUD.
Listen, hear me out. That playlist got popped up on my recommended, and like I think it was episode 7 was the last one that got uploaded. And like I was just watching back that like minute highlight of you freaking out from the last game. I was like, man, I'm really good at editing. Shit. just to stroke my own ego a little bit. I was like, wow, this is like coherent. I like it. I was just making fun of you the entire goddamn time. It was perfect. It was
Wasn't
perfect.
It was great. Yeah, we have fun. Like there's a reason why I don't play Ultimate Team or anything like that. And it's like my mental well-being is better off without playing it. Like I like the idea. Like a set plan allows me to bring like team building elements, franchise elements into it.
Right.
And that's what I like. But then the core of the mode is having to actually play it. And that sucks. Although I haven't played a one-on-one game of NHL 24 yet, so maybe I'd enjoy it a little bit more. But even when I was in Vancouver and other people were playing either versus games or issue games together, I was talking to the franchise guys instead of actually playing the game. Because of course I was. Because that's what we do.
Anyway. Like that series is like 75% of you just editing stuff, flipping the wheel, doing all that stuff. And then the other 25 is you just getting super fucking mad when you're winning. Like, I'm winning right now and I'm still upset. What the fuck? And it's beautiful. It was amazing to work on. Either that or I'll put together something when we do pro clubs and I'll just actually flip something together and just edit it or whatever.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
We have fun. Anyway, everybody, we'll see you later on this week. Let's hope we can avoid the number of days since incidents in the NHL. That would be great. I'd be a big fan of that. And let's talk about fun stuff. Or not, because that's not going to happen, is it? Also, we love you. That's what it is. Ending on a positive note. Hey! We'll see you later on this week, everybody.
Bye.